Hey everyone, what's going on? Greg here again from Team Blast. So if you're getting less phone calls to your Google My Business listing, then this video is for you. So to start, go to Performance and you want to go to your calls section over here. Change the dates from October through February and hit apply. So for TM Blast, this is the best example, but this is the one that I can share because this is one that I manage, obviously. And I can see that I'm up in phone calls. But for my clients, though, they usually get anywhere between 20 to maybe even 100 or 200 phone calls per month for Google My Business. It's really easy for me to see if their performance is up or down. And then what I do next for all my clients is I'll go back into their individual dates. Like, for example, I'll go into December 2024 and I'll say, okay, how many phone calls did you get? Were you up or were you down? And I put this all into Excel to look at a total view and say, how are phone calls pacing? Are we up or are we down? And for most local SEO clients to reach out to me, they're usually down in phone calls, which is why they're seeing less customers reach out to them. And then they're looking for basically help to get more customers. So this is kind of what I do next. Once I've already aggregated all of the call data and if we're up or down year over year, I'm going to go back into the performance tab over here. Scroll all the way down, and you want to look at this section down here. It says people viewed your business profile. So 39% for me is Google Maps, 29% is Google Search, 28% is Google Search, and then Google Maps on mobile is 4%. So the reason why I share this is that a lot of times people will reach out to me, and I notice that maybe 70% or 80% of their views come from Google Maps, not Google Search. That's really important to state because if you're in the map search, basically you're not in position one, two, or three. You're not on page one of Google. If someone clicks on view more businesses, everything automatically loads. The view happens, but you could be position 25 there. You're not getting any of the phone calls or clicks, but it technically counts as a view. So my first thing I always look at is what is the percentage of search versus maps? Ideally for my clients, it's always going to vary, but I try to shoot for around 60 to 70% for Google search. If it's the opposite, you're probably not getting many phone calls because, again, you're not on page one of Google. Next, I look at the searches breakdown. So you can click on see more. Now, my data is very different from most local SEO clients. So just take this as kind of like like a placeholder, but look at your own data and you'll get more granular insight. For me, the term SEO obviously makes sense. But for my other clients that I have who are, let's say, movers or locksmiths or HVACs, there's so much rich data right here that you can kind of now go through and say, what are these secondary terms that we might rank for? So, for example, the term movers might be your most search term, but then you have movers near me, moving company, moving services. But then as you keep going down further, you might find things like commercial movers, residential movers, office movers, etc. Those are those secondary terms that you can really start to look at and say, well, how do we rank for that? Because if we can get more searches showing our account for these secondary terms, it's probably going to lead to more phone calls, website clicks, leads, and hopefully customers too. So this is what I do next. Now that I know, okay, hypothetically, let's say 80% of the searches that are coming through are from Google Maps, and I have some terms over here. I go into local Falcon. So for all my clients, I'm going to run multiple scans for them for their target radius. So for me, TM Blast is a 30-mile radius. I just chose that as the placeholder. But for my other local clients, it's going to really vary. If you're in New York City, it's probably gonna be like a mile or 2 mile radius. If you're in the suburbs somewhere, it could be 5 miles, 10 miles, 20 miles. It really just depends on the level of competition and kind of where also you want to service to. So again, if you're like a mover, you might not want to travel 20 miles to do one moving project. You probably want to be maybe like in a 5 or 10 mile radius because you can service more potential customers in one day. But either way, though, you want to run the keyword scan directly in local Falcon. And I can see over time, this is me on the red line. And basically everything was going really well. And then this new company down here, Syracuse SEO Pro, kind of came out of sort of nowhere. And now is kind of battling me now for one of the top positions in this 30-mile radius. So I share this because when I run scans for my clients, it's actually really easy for me to see if their terms are just not ranking well via share of local voice. So share of local voice is dots 1, 2, and 3. That's a page one of Google listing. That's the Google search percentage that I was talking about earlier in this video. If you're positioned anywhere greater than 3, so if you're position 5 or 13, you're not on page one of Google. You only show up in the map search. So when I run these scans over here, it's actually really helpful for me to see, okay, well, you're down in phone calls year over year, and I can also confirm that your share of local voice maybe is like a 3%, and your top competitors might have a 25 or 30% share of local voice. So for us, we need to start chiseling away at share of local voice to get more qualified impressions, which will then lead to potentially more phone calls, website clicks, um, customers, and hopefully just a continued more success down the road. So now that we have an idea though how local Falcon can pull all this data over here, the next thing that I do is I actually throw everything into an aggregate ranking. So this is an example of one of the clients that I have now. I'm not sharing their name, but this is sort of the report that I pull for them. So every time I run a local Falcon scan, I take the exact date of when I ran and I put the share of local voice in there. Then I'm looking for a month over month perspective of how we're doing. So let's look at one of the terms over here. AC repair. I'll highlight this over here. So when they started off with me, they had a 4.14% share of local voice, very small. February, it went up to 6.9% as an average for the month. Now I can see every time I've run the scan in March, it was 9%, 9%, it keeps going. Sometimes they had actually even close to 11%. I can see over here, we've improved their month over month share of local voice by 2.4%. Their March average is 9.36. Now, this is important because you might look at this and say, that seems really small. We've improved it by basically 2.5% month over month. But you got to look at it from a total ranking perspective. We went from basically 4% now to 9%. So we've doubled now the share of local voice. That's just one keyword. We can also look at other terms too. So, for example, let's look at how about AC service over here. They started off, actually, I'll highlight this so you can see. 0.83% to then 4.13. And then as you can see throughout the month, we are now at a 5.58 percentage for the month. We've improved it by 1.45. So I share all this because now, hypothetically, let's say this HVAC company is saying, okay, we're down in phone calls. These are our target terms. When I run all the scans within local Falcon, basically I can confirm, okay, yeah, your share of local voice is very small. We need to grow that. We need to grow that percentage in the desired location that you're providing your service, because if we can do that, that's going to lead to more qualified impressions, which can then lead to potentially more phone calls, more leads, and hopefully more customers too. So I really like this aggregate view that I do for all my clients, because every time I log into Excel, I know exactly their target terms and if we're improving in our share of local voice or not. Because again, that's how we're going to try to get more phone calls. So um, let's go back into this over here. So okay, hypothetically, you're down in phone calls, you're down by 40% over the last 5 months. Really, the next step for me is, okay, now that I've already identified we're down in phone calls, I look at your top target terms, I've run all the scans and say, okay, these are the terms that I think are more achievable to start flipping, because if we can get more of these secondary terms onto page one of Google, that should start to help cut the deficit from 40% down to maybe 25% down. We're still down year over year, but local SEO is the long game. So you can't just go from down 40% consistently for the average of 5 months, then next month you're up 20%. But if we can start chiseling away at phone calls down year over year, and we're getting more and more dots flipped to page one of Google for more terms, and the keyword universe keeps expanding, then we should be up then eventually with phone calls and hopefully more leads too. Last thing I want to kind of give as a tip. So let's say you are running local Falcon scans or some other tool that you use. There's plenty of other tools that do very similar work as well. And you're like, okay, I've been making changes and maybe my keywords are stagnant or I'm not quite sure what to do next. Google your business name. So I did that for TM Blast over here. And you want to click on these three dots. This is actually what Google knows about your business. So I share this all the time with my local SEO clients, but also my national SEO clients, and say, when they're always like, Greg, what can we do to improve our EAT or our authority online, or maybe like our backlink profile, which I'm not really that keen on building, but it's important to um, build out entities online that kind of talk about your brand. So I know that Google knows about some of these really high quality sites that I'm on. Trust Index, Design Rush. I got featured as a interview on Local Falcon, which is actually so important because I'm always talking about this tool. They reached out to me. They wanted to interview me because I was always making videos about their tool, and I got featured on their website. So that's a really close entity where they look at that and say, okay, Local Falcon is a SEO local tool. Greg Kristen is featured on there from TM Blast. Got it. Like there's like this connection type of thing. So I share that with you because if you're looking for ways to keep improving your rankings, look to build out entities online that make sense. So I'm in I'm in the upstate New York region, so I'm always going on places like Saratoga, Ballston Spa, Clifton Park, Albany, Glens Falls. I'm looking for any Chamber of Commerce's. I'm looking for any meetups that I can join. I'm looking for any directory listings I can get on that's going to showcase my name, my address, my phone number, and a brief description about what I do. And then a lot of these chamber of commerces, for example, have additional marketing opportunities that you can do where you can, say things like, offering hypothetically like AC services to first time customers in the area, anything like that. And I think those signals online is also what Google's looking at too and saying, okay, we're going to test maybe to see what happens if we show this local business up a little bit higher in their desired radius, because we're seeing all these entities talk about their AC service in the area. Maybe we'll see kind of what happens with phone calls. If we lift them up a little bit higher in the search results, we'll test to see how they do. But anyway, long story short, if you are down in phone calls, so just to kind of summarize, if you go to performance, you click on calls and you change the dates, and if you're down in phone calls, you probably already notice it too. You're getting less, customers to your business. You're trying to figure out, okay, well, if I run some ads, what can I do basically for my business? Can I get more leads? But if you're down a lot in phone calls, definitely check out some of the steps that I highlighted in this video. Figure out where you're ranking currently within your local SEO keywords, and kind of use that as the baseline of what you want to do next. Anyway, thanks for watching this video and stay tuned for the next one.